What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of my Assetto Corsa Competizione career mode. In the first episode we did the young driver test, and now we are, as Mercedes AMG Racing, taking on our first sprint race weekend at Zolder. So we're going to go ahead and jump straight into qualifying 1. As part of the Sprint Cup, there's 2 different qualifyings, because there's 2 different races over a race weekend. So qualifying 1 sets the grid for race 1, qualifying 2 for grid 2. As you can see in the first part of qualifying, we managed to get P4 on our debut, only 7 tenths behind the top guys. So we're pretty happy with that for our first ever sprint race weekend. And now, as we come across the line in qualifying 2, we have managed to secure pole position only just by 0.02 of a second. But we're on pole position for race 2, which is something we never thought would be happening. But now we're going to head straight on into race 1 of the sprint race weekend at Zolder. Starting P4. It's a 20-minute sprint race with 1 mandatory pit stop, including a driver change. But I believe it's between 12.5 and 8.5 minutes, so we get a 4-minute window to swap. But as customary with this series, there's a rolling start, and hopefully we're going to get off to a fantastic start.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
So we've managed to pass P3 around the outside into the first corner, which is a fantastic start for our sprint race debut. And now we are on the hunt for Meadows, the pole sitter, and Engelhardt, who are both top drivers in this series. We get a fantastic run out of that corner. We look to the inside.
Car on the right.
Do we go for a dive bomb on the first lap?
Clear on the
We
right.
think better of it, and we give the room to car 88. But that means the Lamborghini behind us gets a good look at us. We get 2 wheels on the grass though, trying to sneak around the outside of the Mercedes, and we kind of poke our nose up the inside into the chicane, giving plenty of room on the inside, and we manage to get the job done into this right-hander, or so we think, because the Mercedes gets a great drive out of that corner. But we get the job done into the little right turn there, and now we're up to P2 by the end of the first lap. So we're going to skip ahead now to lap 3. We pulled a nice little 2-second gap to Meadows in the car behind, and we've slowly been reeling in Engelhardt down to 1.2 seconds now the gap is, and we are closing him every lap as well. But as we come around the last corner on this lap and across the line, we're going to go ahead and set our fastest lap so far of the race. 1:32.6, which is fantastic. And now, next lap, we have gained a couple of attempts on Engelhardt in this lap, and we kind of keeping the gap to the car behind us as well, which is good. Gives us a little bit of breathing room. And the pit window has now opened with 12.5 minutes left in this race. Are we going to go for the pit stop? We're not, but we do lock up going into the last corner and cost ourselves a lot of time to the car ahead, and a few tenths to the car behind as well. But now, a lap later, and we are thinking we're going to do the opposite of the car ahead of us, come to the pit stop. We've only got 3 minutes left though, as the car behind us dives into the pit lane to serve their mandatory stop. And I believe we're going to go ahead this lap and pit. But no, Engelhardt goes into the pit and we follow him in. Let's see how much time we can make up in the pit lane this time. So make sure we slow down to the 50-kilometer limit into the first gear. And now we've got this it seems like a very slow crawl down to our pit box for our mandatory stop and our driver change, where Nico Rosberg will be taken over. So I'm not going to make you sit here for 30 seconds watching the animations. We're just going to quickly fast forward it. The Lamborghini that pitted ahead of us, which was driven by Engelhardt, has just got out ahead of us and now been taken over by Bortolotti. And Nico Rosberg is now in our car as we come out of the pit lane. We have managed to hold on to just about P2. The 88 behind us has managed to make up a lot of time during the pit stops. And now they've got Marciello behind the wheel, and we just get out ahead of the closure of the pit window. And now let's see if we can crack on and chase down Bortolotti. So we're now on to lap 9, only 4 minutes left in the race. We don't seem to be able to close the gap up to Bortolotti, unfortunately. And Marciello behind is also right on our tail, staying under the 1 second gap. But he doesn't seem to be able to get any closer to us than that either, unfortunately for him. And very fortunately for us. But now as we come on to the last lap and the last corner, we haven't managed to catch Bortolotti. We gained a second on Marciello, and we're going to come across the line in our first sprint race to finish P2, which is a fantastic result for our first ever race in the Sprint Cup. So there we have it, P2 in our first ever race. And now we're hoping to build on that fantastic debut with starting from pole position. Now, in race 2, the second driver starts the race. So we have got Nico Rosberg in the car with Mita Marciello right behind us. And hopefully we can get away to a fantastic start here. And we're off. Green, green, green. And we managed to get ahead, but we make a tiny little mistake, going too far right and clip the wall, and hold the biggest slide that you've ever seen in your life. Which doesn't actually look that impressive from this camera angle, but inside the car my heart was going like crazy. But we didn't lose a position, fortunately. The cars behind us seemed to check up and avoid us. Otherwise that could have been a terrible accident. And now we move on. 5 minutes later, we've pulled on a gap on the car behind, on the Audi, down to 1.5 seconds now, which is been a fantastic stint from Nico Rosberg. But now, 4 laps later, with 12 minutes still left to run in this race, we have kind of not been able to break away from the car behind us. With me still less than a second behind us, we make a little mistake running wide out in that corner there. And that allows me to catch up just slightly, with Marciello hot on his heels as well. This looks like a three-way battle here for the lead. Pit window is just opened, but we're going to follow the same sort of strategy we had last race and just kind of extend our stint a little bit longer, as Mies dives into the pit behind us and almost takes the back of our car out. Very close to hitting us there. Marciello doesn't follow, and we need to now put in some good laps to get ahead of Mies. to make sure he doesn't undercut us. Now, lap 6, 9 minutes left. We are going to come in for our pit stop. Marciello pitted the lap before us, and the car of Misa's pitted, I believe, as well. So again, we're going to come in for our mandatory stop. Again, our driver change as well, so it'll be myself who now gets into the car, and hopefully we can come out ahead of the 2 cars behind us and still be in the lead. So, not the best stop this time around. I missed the box a tiny bit, so they had to waste a couple of seconds. And as you can see, there's a car around in turn 1 already. And they are going to jump ahead of us, and it's the 88 of Marciello and Meadows who get ahead of us. They must have had a fantastic stop at stint. And the couple of seconds we lost as well has not been beneficial for us. And now, with only 5 minutes left, we are chasing down Meadows. We've pulled a small gap to the cars behind us, which is good. The number 2 car who started alongside us on the front row dropped a few seconds, and they're down in P5. So it just looks like it's us and Meadows to try and take the race victory here. As we go for the chicane, take a little bit too much curb. But we are thinking, with 2.5 minutes left, we're going to have to make a bold move here at some point. But it's trying to get close enough to the back of the 88 where we can get the move done. We're going to follow him through this double right-hander here, through the first part and through the second part. We get a fantastic run, little wheel on the grass there, and we're going to look to the inside and we're going to send it from deep to try and get that lead. And we have nailed it perfectly. We come out the corner alongside the 88. They give us enough racing room, as do we. And now it's a battle of the late breakers into the chicane. He brakes a little bit early, and we managed to get the job done, all running outside, a little bit of slide off the curb. But they managed to avoid us, and we have got the job done with 1 minute and 38 seconds left on the clock. Are they going to look into turn 1? Has a little peek, but he doesn't go for it. And now we are in the lead of the race with only 2 laps left by the looks of things. Are we going to be able to hold on to this to claim our first win in the Sprint Cup Series on our debut, which would be incredible. But at the end of the next lap and the final lap of the race, we've pulled out a 2-second gap to Meadows. It looks like his tyres have gone off a little bit from where he pitted so early in the stint. And we're going to come across the line and take our first victory of the Sprint Cup Series. An unbelievable result, a P2 and a P1 this weekend at Zolder. We would have never have thought that going into the weekend. So a P2 and a P1 on our opening weekend for the Sprint Cup Series. A fantastic result, and hopefully we continue that form onto the next round of Brands Hatch. Hopefully you catch that in the next episode. Thank you very much for sticking around. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode.